Up on Mountain News this morning, a man was indicted by a federal grand jury after police say he kidnapped a child. And as horrible images continue to pour out of Texas, many in eastern Kentucky are reliving painful memories.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and a happy Tuesday to you, Mountain family. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on this July 8th. It's 4:59 this morning and time to check on in with meteorologist Eric Dean for a look at that forecast. Eric, I know it's been hotter, but it's also been muggier. I don't like going outside feeling the moisture on my arm.
Right. Now, the good news, Amelia, we are going to see temperatures in the mid-80s today. The bad news is, as you mentioned, the stupidity of the humidity is also going to be a factor. Yesterday, though, some places had a little bit of rain, not here in Hazard. Nothing in terms of rainfall. 88 was our high after a morning start of 71. 85 and 66 is where we should be for this time of year. Right now, we're seeing temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Dew points are kind of in the same ballpark as well, so some places could see a little bit of patchy fog for your morning start. There's a look at live pinpoint Doppler radar right now. A few little renegade showers to the north and west of the WYMT viewing area, but that's it. Our next weather maker is to the north and the west. That's going to push through as we go throughout the afternoon and evening hours. So keep the rain and storm chances in the forecast for today. Temperatures will make it into the mid-80s. Now, how long will the storm chances last? I'll have that answer in the first alert forecast in a few minutes, but right now it is 5 o'clock on the dot. We'll toss it back to Amelia.
A 16-year-old is facing a murder charge this morning in Perry County. WYMT's Caroline Mueller joins us with the latest on this deadly shooting.
Deputies say the teenager shot and killed 63-year-old Wallace Cornett at a home in the Viper community. The shooting happened just before 2 p.m. Monday afternoon on the Middle Fork of Maces Creek Road. Sheriff Joe Ingalls says Cornett was shot at close range with a shotgun. The teen suspect, whose name was not released, was taken into custody at the scene and is now charged with 1 count of murder.
There was a lot of family members here. A lot of the information we don't know yet, the motive, things like that we're still working on very early in the stages, but we do have enough probable cause to go ahead with a murder charge at this time.
Cornett's body will be taken to the state medical examiner's office in Frankfort for an autopsy Tuesday morning. The sheriff says the victim and suspect lived close to each other, but it's still unclear if they were related or how they knew each other.
Deputies have also not released a possible motive. Well, a man was indicted by a federal grand jury after police say he kidnapped a child. On April 27th, Hazard police officers were called after they say Andrew Ray Oliver took a child. They followed him and he eventually drove over an embankment on a four-wheeler. The child was checked by EMS and returned to the mother. Hazard Police Chief Zach Miller says his officers believed he was under the influence.
They observed that he was under the influence, located a firearm in his possession, and run his information through dispatch, and dispatch confirmed that he was a convicted felon.
If convicted on the kidnapping charge, Oliver could face anywhere between 20 years to life in prison and could receive a 15-year sentence if he's convicted on the firearm possession by a convicted felon charge. In Fort Gay, West Virginia, the former mayor and treasurer have now been indicted on charges of embezzlement, conspiracy, falsifying accounts, and more. Former Mayor Joetta Hatfield and former town recorder Sheila Bowen resigned late last year after the charges were first filed. Now a Wayne County grand jury has returned an indictment against both. The two are accused of illegally diverting more than $370,000 of public funds over an 8-year period. A Dallas Cowboys football player is in trouble with the law. Police arrested Cavante Turpin in Texas on Saturday. He's facing 2 misdemeanor charges of marijuana, possession, and illegally carrying a weapon. He was booked into the Collin County jail and then released Sunday after he posted $1,500 bail. The Cowboys nor the NFL have reacted to this situation so far. This morning, the search for survivors of last week's historic flash flooding in Texas continues. Officials now say more than 100 people have died, including nearly 30 from a children's sleepaway camp in Kerr County. Meanwhile, local authorities continue to face mounting questions over what more could have been done to alert the public to the dangers as those waters rose. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick tells CBS News that state lawmakers could consider funding new sirens in the coming weeks.
Maybe that would have sparked people to say, oh, we have a massive disaster like 5 minutes away.
President Donald Trump last night said he does plan to travel to Texas this Friday. The Trump administration has faced criticism over recent cuts to the National Weather Service in the wake of this tragedy. Yesterday, the White House press secretary said the agency provided, quote, early and consistent warnings. A high schooler from Tennessee is safe after the flooding in Texas. Matthew Gant says his daughter, Mary Steele Gant, was at Camp Mystic during the flash flooding. She was in an elevated cabin, so it didn't get swept away. A helicopter crew was able to rescue her. The family's in San Antonio right now, waiting to get the go-ahead to return to the camp and salvage any of their belongings. Well, as those horrible images come out of Texas, many folks in eastern Kentucky are reliving painful memories. A National Weather Service hydrologist in Jackson says this week's flooding shares similar characteristics to the deadly 2022 flash flooding here, including tropical moisture, nighttime rainfall, and rocky terrain that can quickly turn dangerous. He says the timing of these events makes them even more deadly, often hitting when people are asleep. But preparation can help mitigate the risk.
They can't mitigate everything, but if you're prepared and kind of stay weather aware, have multiple ways to receive warnings, know weather radio, cell phone, obviously, if you tune into your local station, those are key things to kind of increase coming out of a potentially big event unscathed.
And while forecasts can offer a warning, he says it's personal preparedness that often determines the outcome. Some folks are already announcing their intentions to run in local elections next year. State Representative Bill Wesley, a Republican from Estill County, says he'll run for state Senate. He lives in the 30th District, which is currently represented by Senator Brandon Smith of Hazard. The Trump administration announced 25% tariffs on Japan and South Korea yesterday. President Donald Trump announced tariffs on dozens of countries back in April, but put a 90-day pause in place for negotiations. Officials now say trade partners will have until August 1st to make new deals. So far, only 2 countries, Vietnam and the United Kingdom, have finalized new trade agreements. Well, the tariff news came ahead of a meeting last night between the president and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the third meeting between the two leaders since the start of the president's second term. A pause on a federal grant could leave more than 100 East Tennessee families without after-school care. The program provides funding for after-school programs nationwide. The YMCA of East Tennessee says they rely heavily on this money. They serve nearly 150 students a school year. Right now, those funds are on a freeze for federal government review. The YMCA says the pause could affect their families as soon as next month.
It's probably going to increase and create even more stress on those working families. Not only is it coming up fast for us to provide the service, it's coming up fast for the families to determine what they're going to be able to do with their children. So we need to give them as much notice as far as the services we can provide as soon as possible.
The Y says no one has told them how long of a review may take. The organization is projecting a $70,000 gap for this fall semester. They say without that money, families might not be able to afford the after-school child care programs. Several top-tier golfers are getting some of their first swings at Hurstbourne Country Club ahead of the PGA stop in Louisville. You can expect a mix of PGA Tour players, international talent, and a few of Kentucky's own products. Some of the notable PGA names include Kevin Kistner and U of L grad Adam Hadwin. Players coming out of the Commonwealth and onto the national scene include Stephen Stallings Jr. and J.B. Holmes. Holmes talked about what this event means to him.
I think Kentucky's really kind of a sports-starved state where we have a lot of big fans with the college, and then there's not a lot of professional stuff that comes out. So I think it's great that we got a tournament out here, and hopefully we'll continue to have one for a long time.
156 golfers are expected to compete in this tournament. Practice rounds will continue today. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's Office of Highway Safety is partnering with law enforcement agencies to implement the Not So Fast Kentucky Speed Awareness campaign. This campaign encourages drivers to slow down and obey posted speed limits to help keep everyone safe on the road. The campaign runs through July 1st. Well, thanks so much for getting your day started with us on Mountain News this morning at 5:09.